Hey everyone, welcome along to today's edition of Blockchain Blueprint. Here today with me is Mr. Ian Taylor, who is the chair of CryptoUK, the governing body of cryptocurrency in the UK, of course. Ian, thank you for joining me today.
You're most welcome. Happy to be here.
Great. So right off the bat, can you tell me about what it is you do in terms of your role and what that entails as the governing of Crypto UK, but also why it was established as well?
Yeah, happy to. As many of the viewers will know, a trade body is really a collective of membership organisations that operate within a particular industry sector. Our members are crypto businesses. We have 6 executive members, which include Ripple, Coinbase, eToro, CoinShares, and CryptoCompare. Some names that many of you will know. So we were set up in 2018 and are the UK's premier trade body promoting Crypto UK. So I'll just give you a quick summary of our vision and our mission, and then we can perhaps get into more detail further on. So we believe in the transformative nature of digital assets and the underlying blockchain technology. What we do is, at Crypto UK, is we promote accountability, self-governance, while advocating for fit-for-purpose legislation and regulatory frameworks for crypto and digital assets, specifically in the UK. We're also still working with Europe right now, but obviously we've got the B word to consider over the next few months. And just as our mission is to establish and foster productive partnerships between digital and crypto asset industry participants, along with the legislators, that's the Majesty's Treasury, policymakers such as the FCA, the Bank of England, and other regulatory agencies to educate and nurture an environment that fosters innovation, because this will create jobs and wealth for our economy. So that's it in a nutshell. Thank you.
Great. And as we're moving into an increasingly more digital world, do you find that your role, and as well as the company itself, is growing ever larger and ever larger, considering, as I said, that we're entering a digital world and people are starting to know more about cryptocurrency?
Yeah, well, I think most folks in the industry are positive that the industry is growing. We see a lot more investment, and that's obviously on the speculative side. But on the development side here in the UK, we're well placed to see a lot of firms, techie firms, specifically in the fintech sector. We have a lot of companies that we talk to that are members that operate within corporate blockchains, so private blockchains such as R3, etc. And I believe that the UK, because it has a good rule of law and does have good direct investment and capital opportunities, that we are well positioned, whether you're pro or not Brexit, to continue moving forward with this industry, whether it be a DLT project or a cryptocurrency project.
Do you also believe that, in terms, you mentioned corporations just now, but do you find that big institutions, including banks and government here, have been very positive towards this new change that we're transitioning into?
It's funny because my traditional background is in banking, and the folks that I know that are the blockchain leads at the banks will tell you they've been working on such projects for many years, but all they've really been doing is talking. There hasn't actually been any execution in my experience. And also the sort of the policy piece from Crypto UK's standpoint is we have 3 key position statements this year. One of them is to promote banking for crypto asset businesses, because historically over the last 2 years, probably because of all of the hype around ICO and scam, etc., policymakers here in the UK look at, say, Bitcoin as used by criminals, and that's our job, is to change that mindset. So our second policy statement this year, along with promoting banking for crypto businesses, and we're advocating for a clear risk assessment as to how banks assess crypto businesses, because at the moment we're not there, and we see the US full ahead with this, with 2 US banks, including JP Morgan, offering banking to Coinbase and Genesis recently. And we also want to educate senior policymakers, because we do talk to Treasury, HM Treasury, on a regular basis, as a membership body to engage with the policy makers. And what those folks are telling me there is the senior MPs that set legislation actually vote when it comes to passing laws, for example, in Parliament, do still have that view that crypto is used by criminals. So it's up to us to change that.
And how do you go about changing public perception, just staying on that subject?
Yeah, it's a lot of work. It's a slow process. So firstly, as I mentioned in our mission statement, we engage with the regulators, whichever of the main agencies in the UK. So we have the BOE and the FCA and HM Treasury. Treasury set the laws and the FCA just action them. They don't have any power to change. HMRC do have the power to bring in new tax laws. We talk to them. We run semi-annual workshops with all these agencies where members can join and ask questions, and we ask for presentations from these agencies. I also will ensure that as a trade body, CryptoUK responds to such things as public consultations. Currently in the UK, the FCA has one closed today, which is specifically around payment firms. So a trading exchange will have a e-money license that allows it to take payment in fiat currency, sterling in the UK. So these consultations are important to our member base. And also there was recently a large European public consultation, which we responded to back in May. That's on our website. Our website is CryptoUK.io, and I wrote a piece for City AM as to what the results of that consultation are going to look like, and you can read that there. And also we will speak at as many events as possible, just to really promote what we're trying to do.
And where do you see the UK's role in terms of cryptocurrency and regulation? Does it play a very leading role at the moment?
Yeah, it's a great question. My sense is the US right now is perhaps ahead of the UK. This wasn't the case maybe 12 to 18 months ago. The US was considered quite a laggard in its view, with the bit license coming out of New York was perhaps not well favoured there. The UK always has had a very strong regulatory base. The FCA is well regarded across the world as having a fair and balanced approach to regulation. So we would advocate for such things as right now. There was a consultation that closed the end of the year. I worked on this myself to ban the use of derivatives for retail investors in crypto. And so we argued that is inconsistent with such things as CFDs, because you could, as a retail client, trade a CFD, but as long as you don't have the leverage higher than 2 to 1. And that's a recent rule that came in over the last couple of years. So that's sort of the discussion we have with the FCA. But I do see the UK as being, out of our European cousins, quite progressive. There's lots going on in France. France are pretty good. The AML, their equivalent. Germany obviously has BaFin, they're pretty big, but we know the UK is one of the financial centres in the world. It's the largest FX centre and commodity trading centre in the globe. Therefore, we're well positioned. Whatever you class Bitcoin, is it property? Is it a commodity? Is it cash? Whatever your view is, and there's a whole section on the taxonomy within this EU consultation that I mentioned around how to define what types of cryptocurrency is. But whatever your view is, that I personally believe that the UK has a great role to play. And we'll see over the next few months. COVID has obviously slowed down in some of the work that the regulators are doing, but the FCA, along with the Treasury, have 2 consultations in the pipeline. One is around advertising, so the promotion of crypto assets, because there's obviously a lot of rules around what you can, say, post on the tube around buying certain financial products. And because at the moment, Bitcoin, for example, is not regulated, we've seen a lot of this, which is that fair for the consumer? Is there protection for the consumer? So this is where the regulator's coming from. And also the folks at the FCA want to talk about more broader scope to regulating crypto assets. it may well be a bespoke regime, and that's sort of what we're pushing for. We don't believe that the current regime fits for a payment token, a utility token. I think most people would agree a security token fits within current legislation, which is MiFID. Within Europe and the UK, it is bound by that. But such things as, that fall into the taxonomy of a payment token, utility token, we are advocating strongly, along with all of our partners. We work a lot with other trade bodies and membership organisations within Europe and the UK to promote for this new bespoke regime, because we don't think that you can fit around peg in a square hole, right? Because some utility tokens might be a security token at the beginning when they're raising money through an ICO, but however, when the project is bootstrapped, up and running and doing what it's meant to be doing, then it's providing utility. It's not a share. It doesn't give anyone any revenue. It's something completely different.
And speaking of the positions in Europe, how much do you think Brexit changes things from your perspective? Does it change absolutely everything or absolutely nothing in your view, even though it hasn't really happened yet?
It's quite a good question. I'm not saying it has many facets to it. So I can tell you my viewpoint, and I'll also mention that our partners at Blockchain for Europe, which are a trade body, not for profit, like ourselves, advocate for the industry in Brussels. We partner with them and we work a lot together, and they're very interested in what's going on in the UK. So they see the UK as the premier centre for financial assets, whether it's a digital asset or a regular asset. So that's the outside view that I know of. My personal view is I see Brexit as a positive thing for the industry, in the fact that when we do eventually pull away, we will be, if you like, unshackled to implement European regulation. Therefore, what we could hark back to what we used to do, and that make London, the whole of the UK, I just want to be specific in the south, is open for business, but with a firm hand. So it's that balance between not over regulating, which sometimes you may see coming out of Europe, that stifles the development of the industry, but also not to be, say, a little too weak-handed like you may get in some jurisdictions that we know are tax havens. All of the small islands, the Channel Islands, the Maltas, etc., are very pro with that regulation for crypto assets. But as this goes mainstream, the institutional investment money will look to the more established regime, which the UK is. Therefore, yes, I'm quite positive to how it should play out for the UK.
And at this moment in time, despite COVID-19 and coming to a slowdown, what's CryptoUK's main focus at this point in time?
Yes, well, that's the three key position statements I mentioned. So around the first one is bank accounts for crypto businesses. We specifically are asking to the Treasury to put upon banks that they need to have a clear risk-based approach. By that I mean they can't just say, no, we're not touching crypto because we think it's all run by criminals, but to have a clear checklist, if you like, of a number of points that the business either adheres to or doesn't, and that's transparent. And then secondly is to educate the senior Treasury members, and we already do that through like monthly calls with the senior advisor who runs a crypto asset task force that sits within the financial sector of Treasury. And we're looking, as we come out of the lockdown, to spin up some educational sessions where we'll invite members along, and such blockchain explorer analytic firms that can provide clear data as to criminal usage and nefarious usage in the industry to sort of disprove these theories. So that's all the things we're planning for later in the year. And also we want to push again for this non-banning of derivative products, because we see this as unfair based on what I mentioned before, CFDs.
Say that we touched on these 3 points, the three main objectives that CryptoUK does, but do you also do with regulatory in case if do you also do some sort of advisory thing as well, whereby if you've had a lot of crypto stolen from you, you can advise as to what they can do or you can do or not. So
Yes.
as a use case example.
Yes, indeed. And interestingly, I'm working with one of our members now around something that I've not seen before, where there has been complaints by customers. I can't go into any further detail there, but that's one thing we do. We support our members where there are new legal issues regarding tax. Tax is obviously a thing that folks haven't possibly considered, that when you sell a crypto asset and you make a gain, what do you do with that? Do I need to report it? How do I report it? What tax does it fall under? So we ran an educational session back in February with HMRC. We're going to run another one later in the year for our members. And I still get questions now from folks in the community. For example, during this period of time, if somebody wants to make a charitable donation with Bitcoin, what's the tax implication there? So I will reach out to my contacts at HMRC that specialise in the legislation around crypto assets. And there is some guidance on their website, both for the retail and the corporate, around how to treat crypto assets. So again, that's the sort of work that we're pushing for our members to have that on their websites. If it's a trading exchange, for example, please consider a potential tax obligation may exist, depending on obviously your personal circumstances.
So to wrap this up, we haven't got much time left, but is there anything else you would like to add at all that I may not have asked?
Yeah, just really to reach out to your viewers. If you want to get in touch, my email is ian@cryptouk.io, and please do go to the website to see some of the work that we've already done and see our membership base. We're looking to grow our community because we can't do it as a single voice, hence that's why we come together as a collective and a trade body. We feel that we can work towards these goals better as a community. So yeah, please reach out. Thank you.
Fantastic. And one more last question before I wrap this up. How big would you say your community is at this point, not just at CryptoUK, but at the UK as a whole, not just being London-centric, because it can often feel like that at times?
Yes, and I made the Freudian slip earlier when I said London, but I was quick to correct myself. Your viewers that are based elsewhere in the UK. There's a lot of great work going on all over the UK. I know some folks in Scotland have a good blockchain centre there, and there was, unfortunately, conferences I was supposed to attend throughout this year, spread all over the UK, but that's been put on hold anyway. So yeah, to answer your question, we have 6 executive members, and then we have 30 plus community members. In terms of the number of businesses operating in the space, gosh, when I spoke with you last at the Crypto Compare Digital Asset Summit back in March in the Docklands here, and I must have taken about 80 business cards from businesses in the space. I have a network, and it's hard to give a number. And this is something that the government are always asking me, how many crypto businesses are there? And this is something that we're again advocating for, a standard industrial classification specifically for this industry. It's not hard to do, and then we can retrospectively fit it in so we can get that metrics. There is not a great amount of data out there, so it's all just finger in the air. But there's a few hundred businesses in the UK operating in this space right now.
Fantastic. Well, thanks again, Ian, and I'll also put all the links below in the description. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you liked what you've seen today. And there's a lot more where that came from. Once again, Ian, thank you so much for joining me today.
You're most welcome. Pleasure to be here. Take care, sir. Thank you.